Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Blue Light Banter podcast, where we have G-Man.
Hello.
And it's going to be basically, so G-Man, Graeme, as everyone wants to call him, is a coach on Blue Light Coaching. So it hasn't actually starred in a podcast yet, so we're going to learn a bit more about him today. So, who are you?
Hi, I am Graeme. It feels so awkward, like introducing myself and talking about myself. But I'm Graeme. I started with Blue Light Coaching back in January when Greg brought me on, and I haven't looked back since, helping all you emergency service workers since.
Feels good, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's good, it's good. I'm still in the job as well, so I'm currently a police officer, have been for almost 7 years now, and I'm working both jobs at the moment.
Busy. So where kind of like do you work? Don't have to say
Uh,
specifics. You can just kind of say.
Aye, yeah. Well, I work in the police for Police Scotland. I won't narrow down to my division or anything, but yeah, I'm enjoying it. It's good. It has been a good job. It's challenging. It has its moments, as a lot of you watching will definitely know. Whether that's getting held on and missing trim sessions because you're held on, or having your rest days cancelled. We've got lots and lots of challenges, but yeah, we make it work.
And not only does G-Man do his own stuff, he obviously we'll go into your little one and stuff in a second, but he has obviously a busy family life. He looks after all of you by coaching you, and he gets his own stuff done. So if anyone's busy, it's G-Man. So
Yeah, aye.
if he can do it, everyone can do it. So what did you
Yeah.
kind of do before the police?
Before the police, I've had a career change and a half. So I used to be a high school chemistry teacher. I was a high school chemistry teacher and science teacher for 2.5 years before I decided to join the police. And my decision really came from when I first joined teaching. I didn't know a single teacher that had been doing it for like maybe 8 years plus that didn't regret doing that didn't regret staying there and wanted to do something else. So alarm bells were going off straight away. And as much as I enjoyed the teaching aspect, like actually dealing with the kids and things like that, which was brilliant, the workloads that teachers get and don't get paid for is horrendous.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. What's kind of like you? What were you like at school, kind of growing up? What was kind of that like?
Oh, I was a quiet guy. I was really skinny. I was right into my music, so I love playing guitar. I don't really talk about that much, but I play guitar. Learned how to play guitar in high school, and then I was that guy that just in the lunch breaks, me and one of my mates, or maybe sometimes two of my mates that played instruments, would just sit in the wee guitar room and play guitar during lunch, and nobody would ever really see me. And then I'd go to class and then just go back to playing guitar. I'd have these music classes and stuff after school, and that was my focus, was music. And I had the choice when I was in high school to maybe go into a music career or to go into chemistry, because I was only really good at the two. Everything else I was rubbish at. I was rubbish at maths, I was rubbish at English. So I had my two options, and I ended up choosing science. Went from there. I didn't do well enough to get all my hires to go straight to uni after high school, so I ended up going through college, done an applied science course, an HNC, and then went from there to uni. Done my uni degree. It was actually forensic chemistry that I done, but I wasn't enjoying the forensic aspects. I actually found it incredibly boring when I actually started to do it.
Really?
So I dropped out the forensic part and then just stuck to analytical chemistry. And then wasn't enjoying lab work in general. Realised it's not something I wanted to stick to. And then when I got my degree, I left with an honours degree in analytical chemistry, and decided I was going to go into teaching. So I went back to uni to get my teaching qualification, then went into teaching, enjoyed the teaching aspect, and was like, this isn't for me either. So decided to join the police, which was something I actually wanted to do in high school. I'd done my work experience with the police when I was in fourth year. I say work experience, it was really just one of the community police officers took you to all the different departments, and you got to meet like the firearms team, you got to meet the guys that flew about in helicopters, you met forensics, you met the CID, and just went about meeting all these different departments. So I knew I wanted to join the police then, but I was a wee scrawny streak of pish. I was like really skinny, had no confidence. I was like, I'm not doing that. I can't handle myself. But by the time I started teaching, I had a bit more size about me, a bit more confidence, and thought, you know what, I'm going to go for it.
How long did you do teaching for again?
2.5 years.
2.5 years. And then you've been in the police for 6?
6, it'll be 7 in December, but I won't reach 7.
We'll say
Yeah,
7.
so
Round it up.
yeah, I'll say it as 7. But folk watching this might not even know, but I will be leaving the police at the end of this month. 31st, Saturday the 31st will be my last shift, and then I'll be focusing on coaching and family time. It's going to be fantastic.
How long have you been kind of... in fact, no, we'll go into family first. So what's kind of like home life like? What's kind of... like just generic. You don't have to name...
No, that's cool,
everyone.
that's cool. So I've got my missus, I've got my 3-year-old son, and I've got my dog Poppy, all of which require attention. But it's good. It's a really good life. Leo's in nursery nowadays, so it's mostly just taking him to nursery, picking him up, and then he's turned into his own wee person. So he'll tell you all about his day. My missus is Polish, so he's learning English and Polish. And sometimes he'll be speaking to me full sentences in Polish, and I just won't have a clue. But he's learnt now that I don't understand Polish, so sometimes he'll tell me what to say. He'll say this word in Polish, like for example, kocham is I love you. So he'll say, Daddy, say kocham, and then I'll say it, and he'll just burst out laughing and say, haha, Daddy said kocham. He's like actually winding me up about not knowing the language, and he's 3 years old.
That's good though that he knows that.
It is.
Fluent.
Yeah.
That is
He's
amazing.
really taken to it really well, and I really need to get my finger out and start learning Polish. I've got Polish on Duolingo. I've got the pro version, so I've started trying to learn, but I've learned as much as like cookies and apple.
So you miss your other half, your missus is Polish, isn't she?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Do you get to go over there often?
Yeah, we usually go over every year to visit family and see people, but we didn't go this year. Realistically, it was just I was doing too much. Between the job and coaching, I'm juggling 2 jobs, and the coaching's becoming more and more full time. So I've not actually planned in time to go to Poland yet, but it's still on the cards for the end of this year if we decide to. Once I'm full time in coaching. But I love going to Poland. I absolutely love it. It's a great place to go. It's a great place to see. One thing I like about people, and I think it comes across, I think some people think that it's a little bit rude, but I like that people are just, they mind their own business there and they're not really wanting to talk to you. And that's a bit of me. I'd rather that people mind their own business sometimes.
You'll be moving back to Poland, you will.
Oh, I have pitched it. I've pitched it, but we'll see.
Mate, it's a life, isn't it?
Absolutely.
What was I going to say? What was your... That's it. What's your relationship been like with food and the gym throughout your life, really? Because you said you were a skinny guy, so...
Oh, I was mega skinny, so that's why I started training. I couldn't put on weight, but it was more I just didn't have... I wasn't eating. I didn't want to eat. I just wasn't eating. I was incredibly skinny, like there was nothing to me. And when I was trying to eat, my stomach just couldn't take it. So I was like, right, if I can't put on weight by eating more, I'm going to go to the gym and try and put on some mass. Of course, naturally, I just kind of pissed about. I was going into the gym and then just hitting all the resistance machines, just doing a wee cycle around them for the first couple of months and not making any progress or doing anything. And then one of the PTs that were in the gym noticed I was just kind of struggling and was nice enough to build me a sort of program for resistance machines. It was free full body workouts that I was doing, but I wasn't tracking it. I just knew that I had to do these exercises, so I was just going in, hitting those exercises and then leaving again. I wasn't focused on progressing in any way, shape, or form. And then my diet was still non-existent outside of the gym. So as hard as I might have sometimes pushed it in the gym, I wasn't getting any nutrients in that I needed. I wasn't hitting my protein targets. I wasn't doing anything outside of the gym. So I was still making zero progress, and that kind of went on for about the first 2 years of training before I started to change things up a little bit.
So how did you kind of educate yourself around the nutrition side of it?
For myself, it was YouTube. I spent hours and hours on YouTube, and I kind of wish if I was to go back, I would have just reached out to a coach and got help then and there that actually suited me, because I'd done a lot that didn't actually apply to me. I was trying to learn stuff that didn't apply to me. Like I was trying to focus on if I was wanting to build myself up, and I wasn't hitting my protein targets. I was just eating a lot of crap initially, and then it was learning how to get the right kind of protein in, or how to hit my protein targets. Because traditionally I was just looking at protein shakes. I used to spend hours looking at different videos reviewing protein brands and stuff to try and make sure I was getting the right one, when in reality, like, protein's protein. If you're just looking to build up, just make sure you're getting X amount of protein in,
Yeah.
and go from there. But it was the food aspects that I was really struggling with. I was a bit of a picky eater. I didn't enjoy cooking, and I just struggled, to be honest. But for quite a while, my diet became just chicken and rice because it seemed to be a staple. All the YouTube videos was chicken rice. It's kind of like that. What's that viral video that was going about? Was it fish in a rice cake or something like that? That was kind of like me. It was like, so I'll have from lunch, I'll have some chicken and maybe a bit of salad, and then for my dinner I'll have some chicken and maybe a bit of rice. And it was like so bland. It was horrendous. I was not enjoying it. And then I gradually got better, but it took a wee while. Like, learn look all these YouTube videos and trial and error for me to actually get anywhere. And I wish I just reached out to someone. It could have been so much quicker. I would not have had all that wasted time.
Yeah. To be honest, mate, coming from me, like you's always, I've been up and down my weight. I was never like, don't get me wrong, I would love to have been the skinny person, but I've never just naturally been like slim, because I always kind of battled with food. But I got my PTs in the army, and I still reached out to a coach in the police just because I was like, I need someone to just kind of tell me what to do and when to do it. And you actually learn more from a coach than you do in your PT course, don't you? Like you do.
Absolutely.
People don't want to know all that fucking shit, do they? They want to know how to get fit, what to eat, how to when to eat, and all that sort of stuff. So you actually learn so much from having a coach, like, and
Yeah,
you
you
know,
do.
coach doesn't have to be forever. For somebody like me, I would have a coach probably forever. That's just because it's a case of, stuff is done for you, you're being kept accountable and stuff like that. But, you learn, don't you? I'm sure your clients have felt like, when I've got a client at the moment, she's very near in the end of her process, and she's happy enough and confident enough after a year with me to go off and kind of go, right, okay, no, I'm happy now. I'm sure people have learned off all of us, really, haven't they? So,
That's
but
absolutely it. Yeah.
it is,
You get clients that when they do understand what they're doing, they've been through like my muscle building clients, for example. You take them through a cut initially, find out what we're working with, look at their muscle proportions, and then decide, right, this is the right program for you. We'll do this, we'll do that, and then you work through a nice bulk. Go through that, go back onto a cut, and you've done a few cycles. They know what they're doing. They're getting bigger, they're getting better, but they still stick with you. And a lot for like these clients, it's more the accountability side, like having someone there tracking with them and encouraging them and staying with them makes all the difference. Because we all know, especially like the fat loss clients as well, we all know how to lose fat: eat less, do more, nice and simple. But people still need a coach, because they need that accountability, and that's the huge part with coaching, is having someone there day in, day out, checking in on you, making sure you're doing what you should be.
what kind of like made you fall in love with the old fitness then?
It, for me, it's always kind of as soon as I started to see progress, I was addicted. Like I could see that I wasn't going to be as skinny. I was getting a little bit better, bit at a time, and I just kind of fell in love with it. But it's the mental side of it as well. Like if I have a bad day, for example, and I go to the gym, I just feel so much better afterwards. And it's the same if you wake up and you're shattered and you just can't be bothered and you drag yourself into the gym. Those days are the days that count the most because you come out. I've never went into the gym and came out of the gym feeling worse. I've always went into the gym and came out feeling so much better. My mind's right. I feel good about myself. Like it's a really really good feeling. Like it's tough to explain to people if they've not been into the gym and they don't understand it. But I would highly recommend it to anyone that's never been in a gym just to go in, try and get into a routine, try and see how you feel because you're going to feel so much better mentally and physically. It's
Yeah, it's
it's the only place you get that.
big on. It's a big mental health, isn't it?
Well, it's
Which,
huge.
like, this kind of leads me on quite nicely onto the next question. Really, is like in the police, kind of like how has like health and fitness sort of helped your like, because obviously you see horrible jobs, it's going to affect your mental health. You'd probably be a robot if people weren't affected by something in the job. So how is kind of training and all that sort of helped you with police?
So
Yeah,
in the mental health side of things, it definitely helps. Like it keeps your mind right. You'll have, like you says, you deal with some traumatic, sometimes horrific things in the job, and sometimes if you're just sitting at home rethinking these things over and over in your head, it's a bad place to be. um, Going out and actually getting something done, being productive in some way, shape, or form helps. But for me, when you go into the gym, if you're angry about something from work as well, or you're a bit upset about it, taking out your anger on weights like it can really help. Like you feel like you've done something. It's the same way I know some of my clients enjoy just hitting a punching bag for a wee bit just to vent a little bit. For me it's
yeah,
about venting. Sometimes you just go out and you get something done. Some of the personal best, some of my best lifts I've had have been after horrific shifts when I'm just like agitated about something not going the way it should have, or whatever it might have been. Sometimes it's just a job, like you get held on when you know that there should have been a resource there to take over for you, but you might be short staffed and you're held on for something that you shouldn't really still be in a job for. You should be home, spend time with family or whatnot, or you should be already have hit the gym if that was your plan after work. And it does sometimes get to you, but the gym can really help clear your mind. And it is that mental clarity as well. You feel a lot better. A lot of that angry fog or whatnot
yeah.
just goes away.
Yeah, no, I do agree. Like, it kept me sane during my kind of time in the police, definitely. Um, so if there's one thing that you could kind of change, when you started the police, you try and live life as you normally would, wouldn't you? You try and kind of still hit, like gym 6 days a week. You try and still kind of eat your normal chicken and rice, like nutrition wise, all that sort of stuff. What's kind of the one thing that you would probably, or a couple of things that you would change about how you were to approach shifts, and what's your advice for
Yeah,
anybody that's joining, really?
for anyone joining, you said it's training 6 days a week. That was bang on. That's exactly what I was doing. I was in the gym 6 days a week. Sometimes I was there for like 2 hours or more a session, and that is 100% not sustainable when you're on a response shift. Especially if you've got a family and things like that. You're going to be shattered. Your shift patterns all over the place. Trying to plan 6 days in general, if you're working any kind of shift pattern, even without a family, if you're doing days, back shifts, nights, things like that, it's horrendous. And then, so that was me. I was training 6 days a week. There was a few things wrong with that. The first one is I was struggling to hit those 6 days, and so I was training some muscle groups more than others. I was growing a bit out of proportion. I didn't like that, which wasn't good. The second big thing was recovery. Like recovery is huge, and a lot of people neglect it, and they'll think, and I'm going to hit the gym 6 days a week, and I won't rest my muscles because I'm going to keep gaining muscle. But you're really not. You need that recovery. So if I was to go back, because I was trying to maintain those 6 days, my diet side of things as well, I was trying to eat the same, and I wasn't able to because I was bringing in chicken and rice, for example, that I wasn't getting back to the office to heat it up in a microwave, so I was ended up skipping meals, not hitting my protein targets, and I was just losing any of the kind of mass that I'd built up, and so that was my goal, was just to keep getting bigger, and I was losing all of that in work. So if I was to go back and not waste the first maybe year or so on response, where I was still trying to hit those 6 days, I would train less, because that's what I ended up doing, and I've progressed so much more. So for myself, 4 days is the sweet spot. I know some of my clients are hitting the gym 3 days on response and they're still gaining muscle. Like 3 days, 4 days is perfectly fine, and those gym sessions were cut right down as well. So I was training maybe 40 minutes to an hour sessions, which I feel is all that you need. If you're hitting the gym 3-4 days a week, up to an hour a session, you can build all the muscle that your body's capable of building in those sessions. It's absolutely fine, as long as you're getting your recovery in, and that's the big thing, is getting that recovery, making sure you're hitting your protein targets and allowing your muscles to rest so that they can build. Otherwise you're just not going to get anywhere. So if I was to change something, that's what I would change, because I was just leading to complete burnout. I was shattered all the time, I was frustrated because I wasn't making progress. So that's what I would change, and that's my advice to anybody joining, especially if you're looking to build muscle, is do a bit less and rest a bit more. Which is, it sounds counterproductive, but it actually is the way to go.
It's such a big thing though, isn't it? Because people will kind of just try and live their life like they normally would when they go into the police. Like, I know me coming from the army, I was very much I would train 2 to 3 times a day, because I worked in the gym, 2 to 3 times a day for 5 days a week. Like, that's too much. Like, I know that's too much. So I remember when I joined the police, straight from the army, I was like, I'm going to do my cardio in the morning, because to me steps wasn't cardio. Running, I was cardio in order to keep me fit. So I would do my cardio in the morning, and then in the evening I'd go and do an hour and a half, 2 hours in the gym, which, yes, it was sustainable while I was a single Pringle and I was going through my training. But as soon as I hit that shift work, I was like, what the fuck's going on? Like, I can't do this. I can't train twice a day. What's going on? Like, so it was it's just, you've got to, like G-Man says as well, making progress. I've made more progress than I ever have done now. Like,
Yep.
100%. Just by simplifying things.
That's exactly it. Yeah, it's a bit of a wake up call. If you try and train the same and eat the same and you join, you are heading for disaster.
You've got to find ways around it. And that's why we do what we do, like, and obviously Greg as well. It's just a case of, we've been there, we understand shift work. G-Man's still doing shift work and coaching and training and looking after his little one and spending time with his other half as well. It's just a case of, that's why we do what we do, because we understand. And if anyone's busy out of all of us, it's you, innit? So
I know what busy is anyway, and everyone does, all the clients do, but it's like he says, we know exactly how we know the situation that they're in. And I've had clients come to me from other coaches, because some coaches just don't get it. They're trying to get clients to stick to like a rigid meal plan, or they've got them training like a bodybuilder, and it's like, they're not going to, like, they don't understand it. I had one of my clients had a client had his previous coach shout at him once for like going home and having a beer, but he had a terrible shift. Like, he had dealt with a sudden death, passed a message to a family, and that's horrendous as it is. Like, you feel that after that, and some coaches just, for whatever reason, I don't like. You'd think most humans would understand that, never mind coaches, but some people just don't get it.
I do know, like, once I actually, that kind of reminds me of like a little, so it was like 2 days after Christmas Day, one Christmas, It wasn't that long ago, to be fair. And basically, he was a delivery driver for like Deliveroo and like McDonald's and stuff. Crashed into a tree on like a road where I used to police, and he died. So basically, I helped with him at the time, and
Hmm.
then cordoned off the road and stuff. Obviously, helped. It was more of a Z. It wasn't just me running the actual show. So don't anyone think that. Um, but the inspector came up to me and he went, "Can you go and tell the family?" And I was like, "Well, that's probably not right because I've seen him, but okay." So I took she was probationer at the time, but really good friend of mine. We went to the house to deliver the message, and it was a big Romanian, like, there were a Romanian family. Fucking hell. Like, there was like, I would say 20 of them, if
Hmm.
not more, in this house. And I remember delivering the message over big word because that's the only way they understood. And I was just like, oh fuck. And then they came at me with a knife. And
Yeah.
can you imagine, like, going and having a coach have a go at you after something like that? Because me and my friend, I won't mention the name, but we were like really. It was just like we were kind of like in a bit of shock, I suppose, for like a good couple of days after. And it didn't like gorge or anything. It wasn't like but it would just be a case of I didn't go to the gym just because I was just like I just need to process what the fuck's happened. But can you imagine just having someone having a go at you after you've experienced something like that? I'd be like,
Uh,
mate.
Horrific. As
But
soon as you mentioned that there was so many people in the house, because that death messages people do sometimes have a tendency because they don't know how to react to that kind of news. It can be just either complete sadness or they can get angry. And as soon as you mentioned the amount of people in the house, that's all I thought of straight away was officer safety, like just because the tendency for these things to
no,
kick off.
and that inspector needed a bloody smack around the face. Sending two of us to something like that. I was like, because I called up on the radio and there's a lot of people here.
Yeah,
He was like, yeah, no, carry on. I'm like, okay, that's a lot of people. And like, because they just don't understand, so that's how they know best. Like, so the reason I mentioned the Romanian is because they just didn't understand English, so I had to do it in a very like weird way with the big word, and I was just like, fuck.
aye.
And then
So
she's
that's
obviously just lashed out, and I was like,
that one example highlights numerous challenges that we always face in the job. Nowadays, like especially nowadays, because we're becoming more diverse as a community, and like English isn't everyone's first language, and it's getting difficult to speak to people sometimes when we're all using either Google Translate or if we can actually get translators if we're on the phone sometimes. But having to pass a death message through a translator service is difficult enough. And then you've got the violence side of that, so that highlights like so much of the issues that we need to face. Just that one example, and there's so many people that will watch this and will relate to that so much.
no, it's horrific. It's the first time I've ever done it for a translator as well. It was mad. But yeah, it was just like the aftermath, and because obviously they've got big families, haven't they? And
Yeah.
some of them were like really angry at me, and then other ones weren't. And I was just like, "Why are you angry at me? Like I haven't done anything."
I know, I know.
Trying to save him, but yeah, it's just a case of they just they did this. You can't predict how people are going to react to those sorts of things.
Definitely not. But that's a good example of that. So some people like I've had examples that like you'll go to deal with one call, for example, and then you'll just end up in a fight with someone completely random that had nothing to do with that call, like trying to get in a flat. So there's an example for my team actually, but it's not. I won't give any names or anything or dates, but it's quite a while ago. Going into a flat to deal with somebody from one of the houses up above them. It was just a normal inquiry, nothing major. But the person that buzzed them in kicked off about them buzzing the buzzer, and then it ends up a rollabout in the common close. But it just escalated to escalate. It's just like you never know in this job,
That's
innit?
mad. How else are you going to get in?
Like it happens. It happens, I guess. It's the nature of the job, the unpredictability.
Why is he kicking off? Because I buzzed the buzzer. Funny, isn't it? People
But
just don't like. police anymore. Like, I know people do like the police, but you get the very few that make, you know, you got the 1%ers that give you 99% of your headaches, don't you? So
That's it.
really like the best way. But anyway, you've got to get to work soon, mate. So I will leave you to it. But Graeme, everyone, thank you.
Aye, it feels a wee bit awkward being on a podcast. First time being on a podcast, but we'll get used to it. You'll see a lot more of me soon.
100%. So yeah, that's why Graeme hasn't really been on the podcast live trainings that we do in our private members group and stuff, just because he works, and then when he's
So
not
much.
working, he's working. So he's
Yeah,
it's
it's
a
like
case when we've got a little bit more, when he's got a little bit more time, we can do more podcasts with him. So if you've got any
very.
questions you want for him to answer, then you can post them below, because this will be going on the old YouTube and it will be going on the private members group as well. So if you want any ask him any questions, then pop them below.
Nice.
Have a good day. Stay safe, mate.
Cheers. Catch you in a bit.
Bye.